Should Rockets fans continue to cheer for James Harden even years after he has left the team?
Ellie out of the corner for three.
Baby at the buzzer. Yeah!
Free. Down to three. Down to two. It's a three. Good! Good! James Harden a flamethrower. Sengun.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Welcome into Red Nation Radio. I'm Spencer, your host, flying solo this week. And one thing me and Harley didn't talk about last week was James Harden being traded once again from the Clippers now to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And of course, there were rumors that he was interested in a return to Houston. Of course, the Rockets were not interested, and honestly, they didn't have the ability to make a move anyways. But once again, James Harden is back in the Eastern Conference. And I bring that up because for me, a lifelong Rockets fan, James Harden was one of my favorite players of all time. I was 2 years old when Hakeem Olajuwon's career finished with the Rockets, so I was not around to see him play. So James Harden has always been my favorite Rocket for my entire life. I'm 31 years old. And I obviously understand that there's a lot of people that are sour on the way things ended with the fat suit and quitting on the team in the press conference and demanding out after he brought in all the players he wants and then drove them out. I get all that. But for everything that James Harden did for this city, I can't fathom how anyone could look back and hate on the man. I get it. He'd had some really, really bad moments in the playoffs. There's no doubt about it. But the man also was going toe-to-toe with one of the greatest dynasties the NBA has ever seen in the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. And he was the only one in the entire NBA that year in, year out was duking it out with those guys, and you actually felt had a chance to do it. Now, hindsight's 2020. He never got it done, and that's fair criticism of him. But part of it for me, I didn't spend all those years as a teenager defending him online to all the haters that say he's a free throw merchant and he chokes and he shies away from the big moment. James Harden, I believe, deserves all the love from Rockets fans, and I get that. It is still a sore spot for so many, even despite the Rockets being, a good team on their own right now. James Harden back with the Eastern Conference team and with the Cleveland Cavs. So for me, when he's in the Eastern Conference, I have a second team to root for. Obviously, Rockets over everything. The Rockets, their success is what matters the most. But when it comes playoff time, I'm going to be rooting for the Rockets, and I'm going to be rooting for the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference. An ideal world for me would be a Rockets versus Cavaliers finals. I would cheer for that, and I'd be extremely happy if we were somehow to get that. And let's be honest, we ain't getting a Rockets versus Cavs final, but just hear me out. If we were to get that, obviously I'm cheering for the Rockets. Obviously, it would have to be the Rockets over everything, H-Town till I drown. But I would love to see James Harden have success with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I do think that that's a good team for him. I think him and Spida Mitchell, they can do some things. And playing with a big man, we know from his time down here in Houston with Clint Capella and Dwight Howard, when he has a lob threat like he has now in Jarrett Allen, he's going to be able to make things happen for them. But, of course, there's going to be some people that always will hate on him. The fact that he never got it done against the Warriors, the 0 for 27 game he was, at the forefront of. But I posted this question on Reddit a couple weeks ago. And I said, do you still cheer for James Harden to succeed even though he is not a Rocket anymore? And the vast majority of the people that commented and responded agree with me. Yes, we still cheer for James Harden as long as it doesn't interfere with the success of the Rockets. Now, for those that don't, for those that still don't like James Harden because of the way he exited, you have to remember, James Harden, despite what is said of him, he wants to win. He understands what it takes to win, even though he's never actually gotten it done. He knows what needs to happen, and he knew that 2020 Rockets team that he was a part of with the second best player was Christian Wood. He understood very well that he was not going to be winning a championship there. He totally got it. John Wall was washed at that point. Christian Wood was supposed to be the next big thing, but he was terrible. And then from there, you just have a whole lot of just nastiness. Daniel House, almost forgot his name for a sec. he was there, just terribly mediocre team all there. And he had to do something about it. He had to get out. And honestly, in hindsight, the Rockets trading him when they did was the perfect time to do it. After that, every team that has traded James Harden since then has not gotten the return that the Rockets got from him the first time. They truly got out of him at the right time. You know, the most recent trade from the Clippers to the Cavs, it was just Darius Garland and a second-round pick for him. Now, Darius Garland, really good player. I think he'll be solid for the Clippers, but he's obviously not James Harden. James Harden's a lot older now. He's 36, 37 years old. So I get that the price isn't going to be as high as it was when he was, 32 when the Rockets traded him. But what I'm saying is it's something I don't understand why the Rockets fans that dislike him hold it against him even still. The Rockets did good in the trade. Yes, we had a few down seasons where we were rebuilding, but look where they're at now. They have a young team as a result of that trade. They have Kevin Durant as a result of that trade. They had cap space to sign Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks as a result of that trade. And, say what you want, but Rafael Stone has done a good job of navigating, and I know he's got some flaws, and me and Harley definitely let him have it last week for his lack of moves. But ultimately, I think, given how everything played out, if you are still holding disdain in your heart towards James Harden as a fan of the Rockets, I think it's time to move on. I don't see why you couldn't just be neutral about him at worst, but I think it's fun to root for him. I would love to see them be successful in the Eastern Conference. Again, not at the expense of the Rockets, but let's paint a scenario. Let's say the Thunder, as they are expected to, completely roll through the Western Conference playoffs. Maybe the Rockets make it to the second round and lose to someone like the Nuggets or the Spurs, but ultimately the Thunder win the West. And then you have the East. And right now, it's a very wide open thing in the East. You have the Celtics getting Jason Tatum back potentially. The Knicks are there. The Pistons have been on fire. But I look at the Cavs, and I think with James Harden, with Donovan Mitchell, that's a team that could win the Eastern Conference. I truly believe that. So let's say they do that. So you have a Oklahoma City Thunder versus Cleveland Cavaliers NBA Finals. As a Rockets fan, if you really love basketball, I'm sure there's some Rockets fans that once the Rockets are eliminated, they don't pay attention to the NBA anymore. And that's fine. I totally get that. But if you're someone that still likes basketball and you want to keep up with the finals and you want to have a rooting interest, you're really going to root for the Thunder over James Harden and the Cavs? Absolutely not. James Harden and the Cavs would be a much more fun story to see win than to see the Thunder win their second straight on the backs of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren. So, I don't know. It was just on my mind this week. We didn't talk about the James Harden trade last week so much because me and Harley were mostly focused on the lack of trades that the Rockets did not make. But the Harden trade definitely was a big deal. And it would have been really cool if there was an avenue for the Rockets to trade for him. It just never was realistic. And it breaks my heart just a little bit. Again, Rockets fan first, but I love James Harden. And it did break my heart just a little bit to continually see that he was interested in coming back to Houston. He wanted to play for the Rockets, but now it's twice that the Rockets have turned their nose up on him and said, nope, we're good down here. We don't want to trade for James Harden. We don't want to sign James Harden. Obviously Fred VanVleet's contract, when they signed him, they could have signed James Harden. They chose to go with Fred VanVleet. And this time they could have traded for him in theory, but that would have required either trading Alperen Sengun or, getting Fred VanVleet to waive his no-trade clause, which was always an impossibility. It was never going to happen. But it would have been awesome, and I'll tell you this, Kevin Durant, James Harden together on this Rockets team, I think that would have surprised some people, and I think they would have been a very successful duo. I mean, we've seen them be successful together throughout their careers multiple times together, and you don't think that's going to work out with James Harden back in Houston? We were talking about the guy that averaged 30 points a game throughout his career with the Rockets. He would have turned the clock back, and him and Kevin Durant would have been amazing together. Again, it was never realistic for the Rockets to be able to do it, but man, there was a part of me that wished it could happen. But y'all let us know in the comments, what are your feelings of James Harden as a Rockets fan? Do you still cheer for him? And if you still hate him, tell me why. Tell me what I'm missing here and why you still have so much disdain for him even all these years later. This has been Red Nation Radio. I am Spencer. We will see you next time. And until next week, go Rockets.